Hello and welcome to a special bonus video and something a little bit different today. For the first time we're in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now I've finally picked this game up about 5 or 6 weeks ago, but I've only really been dipping in and out of it, and I've only done some AI races just to get familiar with it. For a while I've been thinking I really should try an online race, and this weekend I've decided to take the plunge. And after doing a bit of research, I read some good things about the SimGrid, so I've decided to sign up there and jump straight into their daily A race, which is a 25-minute GT3 race around Donington Park. We're starting from the very back of the grid, so 28th out of 28 drivers, and that's mainly because I didn't put a qualifying time in. The first of many rookie mistakes, I jumped into the server without realising that you actually have to select your car first before joining the server. So I did all my practice in this Ferrari and then joined the race, only to find that I was sat in an Audi and I really didn't have a clue how to drive it. So I jumped back out, chose a new car and got back in, but by the time I did that, qualifying was almost over, so I decided to just sit at the back of the grid. It's probably for the best anyway, not knowing the game too well and not knowing what the standard of competition is going to be like. And as I quickly found out, that standard of competition is very, very high on the SimGrid. As you can see from the action, we're now about half a lap into the race, and I was just trying to hang back at every opportunity. There was quite a lot of carnage in front of me, several cars spinning off, running wide, and I was gaining positions just by picking up pieces. But because these drivers are so fast, they were spinning off, rejoining the track and getting right back past me again, all within the space of a few corners. It just shows the type of pace they were running compared to me. So as we make our way through the S's for the first time and head towards the Melbourne hairpin, you can see we're in 24th, but that's not going to last for long. One of the spun drivers has already got back on track and is getting around me on the inside. Again, I'm not going to make any attempts to try and defend lines here. I just want to feel my way around, get to grips with the game, and most importantly, not ruin anyone else's race. And the lofty heights of 24th certainly didn't last for long, because we were passed by nearly all the drivers on those final couple of turns. So we'll start lap 2 in 26th position. This gives us a chance just to take a look at the replay of the start and a couple of those incidents on the first lap that temporarily gave us a higher position. We'll start at the very first turn, Redgate. Now keep your eye on the number 63. He's one of several drivers to drift well wide coming out of Redgate, but unfortunately for him, he just makes contact coming back onto the track, and then as he's trying to save it, a little bit more contact, which sends him right back out to the wall and means that we're no longer in last place. A few corners further on, look at the number 5. He's on the grass and he's got no way of stopping that, and he skittles into 2 more cars and takes them out. So that's what temporarily gave us 24th. And then as the car started coming past me just ahead, there was another little incident coming out of the Melbourne hairpin, and that one meant that we were able to cross the line at the end of the first lap and not be in last. So anyway, we rejoin the action halfway through lap 2, and it's not too long before there's even more carnage in front and the yellow flags come out. See a driver just in front there running a little bit wide, and there's obviously been another incident a little bit further ahead because there's several cars way down on top speed as we bomb down Starkey Straight towards the S's for the second time. We're now in 25th, but I go in way too hot into the S's and it completely messes up my exit, and that's going to give Romero behind the chance to dash by on the inside up to the Melbourne hairpin. So now I'm going to be back into 26th as I give him the space he needs to get the move sewn up on the inside. And we can go back and check out the replay to see what happened to Romero on lap 2. And as you can see, he just gets a little nudge from behind on the exit towards Starkey Straight. And that was the incident that brought out the yellow flag that temporarily gave us a couple of positions. Lap 3 now, and we're powering out of the old hairpin towards McLean's, and we get another yellow flag alert. So something else has gone on up ahead. It's not around here as I take out a few of the bollards, so it's obviously at Coppice again. This corner seems to be causing a lot of problems in the early going in this race. And yeah, there's 2 cars that are rejoining there right in front of me. And I don't know what to do now. For the first time, I've got the option to actually overtake someone. And I do it mainly helped by the fact that he drifted out onto the grass again. Now we're heading up to the S's for the third time, and I make a much better effort of it this time, getting my line right and carrying a lot more speed through there. I've kept the distance to the car behind, and as you can see, someone else has run wide, and we're right up with them now, so there's the chance to get another position. Have a look up the inside coming out of the Melbourne loop, and then it quickly becomes apparent that that car on the left is carrying some serious damage, and he decides to give up the ghost and parks it up. In the meantime, yeah, we've been caught up again. One of the drivers who spun out at Coppice, he's back and powered past me. So we finished lap 3 in 24th place. And as for the driver I passed, I guess that he might have some damage, and this replay confirms it. Probably not from grazing the tyre wall here, but when he rejoins the track, he's going to get hit hard, and that's going to do some damage. And then he gets clipped by a second car as well. So those 2 cars that hit him were the 2 cars that I passed as I went through Coppice. With the field spreading out a bit, things started to settle down over the next couple of laps, but there were still a few incidents in front of me. There's our old pal Romero getting it all wrong again, so that gave us 1 position back on lap 4. And then on lap 5, there was this incident, again coming out of Coppice. So many drivers struggling with that turn. Now, by the time we get to the second half of the race, we've actually made our way up to the 19th position, and that's not through any overtaking manoeuvres. It's purely from hanging back, taking it easy, and picking up pieces as and when they come. But now we've got a different problem, and it's the one that I was really worried about, getting lapped. We've just been caught by the leader, and luckily for me, it was at the best possible place, Starkey Straight, so I was able to get off the racing line, just ease off, and let him through. Unfortunately, I wasn't quite so lucky on the next lap when the second place driver caught me up. Look how close he was, and I was stuck on the inside going over the curb, and I was really worried that I was going to lose control and take him out. Thankfully that didn't happen, and I was able to let him go by relatively safely, but I could really feel my stress levels starting to rise now as more drivers caught me up. Look at the 4th place guy behind me flashing his lights to tell me to get out of the way, and I managed to do that okay, but then there's a couple more cars coming, and I make a mistake here. Like, I just drift onto the grass. That unsettles the car, and I was on the verge of losing control. But luckily, Corkery in 5th managed to get around okay. 1 lap later, exactly the same corner and exactly the same scenario. I'm under pressure by 4 cars this time. Almost lose it by clipping the curb. And that was really close. Now I'm just coming into Coppice, and I try and stay as tight as possible. Give these guys as much room as they need. But yeah, I was really finding this stressful, trying to keep out the way of the guys who are clearly so much faster than I am and battling for the top 10 positions. This is a replay of that last overtake, and you can see how nervous I'm looking as that car behind gets so close as I just hurry to get off the racing line as quickly as I can. All 3 of these guys are locked in a battle for 6th place, and the last thing they want to do is ease off the gas at all, just to try and give me a bit more space, so I was really trying my hardest not to cause any blockages or obstructions. So thankfully, once that rabble had made their way past me, I actually had a fairly quiet last few laps, which was much needed. And as you can see, we even gained another position. One of the drivers ahead quit, so we're in 18th, just approaching the last couple of turns, and I think I've made it the whole way through the 25-minute race without making a mistake of my own. Wrong. Inexplicably, I lose the rear going around the Melbourne hairpin for the very last time, and I don't quite know even how I managed to do that. I think just carrying a little bit too much speed, or maybe turning in a little bit too tight, and it unsettled the car, but thankfully no damage done. It meant 2 more cars were able to lap me, but I managed to bring it home in my first ever online ACC race in 18th place out of 28 drivers. So what's the final verdict? Well, the game looks fantastic, and I really enjoyed playing it as we look at the replay of my little mistake on the last lap there. Joining up to the SimGrid was really easy, and looking at their schedule of races online, they've got a load of variety and different races to pick from each day. So that's really encouraging too, but the downside for me at the moment is the standard of the opposition. Every one of the other drivers on this grid were incredibly fast, and I've never ever felt so out of my depth as I did in this race. Just to put it in context, my fastest lap in this race was a 1:32, and that was more than 2 seconds slower than any other driver on the grid. And as for the top 10 guys, they were lapping around 6 seconds a lap faster than I was. Now, I know to become better yourself, you've got to put yourself up against better drivers, but for now, I think this standard is just a little bit too high for me. So if any of you guys could recommend any more beginner-friendly ACC groups I could join, I'd really like to hear from you, because I want to give this game another try. I just don't want the stress of getting in the way of such incredibly fast drivers like I did here. Cheers guys, thanks for watching.